Charles IV, King of Bohemia and Holy Roman Emperor, had a long and successful reign. The empire he ruled from Prague expanded, and his subjects lived in peace and prosperity. When the emperor died, the whole empire mourned. More than 7,000 people accompanied him on his last procession. The heir to the throne of the flourishing empire was Charles's son, Wenceslas IV, whose father had prepared him for this moment all his life. But Wenceslas did not take after his father. He neglected affairs of state for more frivolous pursuits. He even failed to turn up for his own coronation as emperor, which did little to endear him to the Pope. Wenceslas the Idle did not impress the imperial nobility either. His difficulties mounted until the nobles, exasperated by the inaction of their ruler, turned for help to his half-brother, King Sigismund of Hungary. Sigismund decided on a radical solution. He kidnapped the king to force him to
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Damn. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter as long as he goes back to the Sasau Inn.
I'll flay you. Scheiß drauf. Not so brave, though. Du Hund!
Well?
Who is that diver? It seems I have finally met my match.
I want to know everything. Who you are, why you're here, and what you know about the ambushed wagon.
You may call me Ulrich. I will tell you nothing more until you give me some assurances.
Assurances? How about this? If you talk, I'll spare you.
Do you expect me to believe that? I know full well how these stories end. I have been at the other end of the sword more times than you can count.
I give you my word.
The word of a thief? Jesus. It is true what the preachers say. This world has gone quite mad. You had better kill me. I'm finished, anyway. Just as you are.
Why do you think I'm finished?
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. Once you take a weapon in your hand, your days are numbered. It is the same for every one of us.
Not everyone.
Every last one. Knight, mercenary, or footpad. There are men who die peacefully in bed, their wives and children at their sides. But not you, or I. You will end your life in a ditch, with your belly ripped.
Unlike you, I'm not a criminal.
You believe that the forging of money is an honest trade?
I've got nothing to do with that. I'm not a forger, I'm the one investigating them.
What? What are you saying?
I'm in the service of Sir Radzik Kobila, Governor of Skalitz and Royal Hetman.
Then we have something in common. I also am here under orders from above.
From who?
Perhaps you might sheath that weapon, so that we may talk eye to eye. If we do indeed have a common cause.
Stand up.
It is true our meeting has not begun well. But if it is the truth that you are sent by Kobila, then we can assist each other.
What do you mean?
I found out many things, but there are still questions I cannot answer. And the last man who knew anything is now dead.
What man was that?
Mainhard, the merchant from Passau. Listen, I will explain everything to you, but first, I need you to do something for me.
Oh, really?
You will introduce me to a certain person, and I will tell you everything I've learned.
Who do you mean?
Master Tobias Pfeiffer. If you truly serve Sir Radzik, then you must know him.
Of course I know him. What do you want him for?
I have here a written confession which tells how those forgeries are made. But I do not understand such technical matters. Master Pfeiffer, however...
We'll definitely be able to make sense of it. And you'll give it to me, just like that?
It seems I have little choice. This is the last lead I have. In the meantime, I will return to Sassau and see what I might learn there.
What's your name, anyway?
I told you. I am Ulrich.
Just Ulrich?
It is enough.
Because you look like a knight. They seldom have just one name.
It is true. I have a horse, armor, a sword, and a shield. But there are many ways to acquire such things these days. As I am sure you know.
So you're not a knight?
I am a trustworthy soldier in the service of a nobleman. That is all you need to know.
I'd like to know more, but I have a feeling you won't tell me.
Your feeling is correct.
Tell me what you know about the false coins.
Do you know Passau?
No, what is it?
A city in Bavaria. Passau is a city of trade. All the currencies in Christendom change hands there.
I see. And that would include Prague groschen?
Some months ago, counterfeit groschen were discovered to be circulating there. They are made from copper plated with silver. The Passau alderman began to investigate and learned that a family of money changers was involved. They were bringing the forged coins in from Bohemia and sending back real ones. My liege lord is allied to the Passau alderman, so they requested that he deal with the matter.
And so he sent you?
Yes. He needed a man that he could trust absolutely.
And what about that wagon? What happened there exactly?
I followed Mainhard from Passau. I had reason to suspect a connection with Sassau.
Why did you let them get here before attacking?
I wanted to discover where they hand over their coins, which I failed to do. Besides, Maynard had an armed escort, and they kept 2 busy roads and lodged at inns throughout their journey, until he came to this god-forsaken trek. I cannot guess why he came here, but it was the perfect opportunity to strike.
What do you mean about the connection with Sasau?
The matter was investigated in Passau, and the executioner extracted information from those who were arrested. They told him that the coins were made in a monastery.
What, in the monastery itself?
I cannot say. I know only what the Passau scribe wrote down in his reports of the interrogations.
So they were transporting false groschen on that wagon?
Yes. On their way here, they brought real coin. Groschen, forints, francs, and the like. But now, the sacks were full of counterfeits.
What happened on that track?
I ambushed them. I took down 2, but that bastard man had cut the horses loose and rode away.
What next?
While I was chasing Manhard, those charcoal burners came and stole what they could. Before I could catch him, his horse threw him and he broke his neck.
So we won't get anything out of him?
Unfortunately not.
Who are you working for?
I understand why you wish to know, but this does not mean I am at liberty to tell you.
Very well. I shan't beat it out of you. Shouldn't you go with me to see Fafar?
No. I must remain in Sasau. I have some loose ends that must be tied.
What happened to Menhart?
He is dead, of course.
I know, but what did you do with his body?
I buried it. He was a bastard. But I am not one to leave Christian remains rotting in the woods.
I see. And where's his grave?
He ran from the wagon uphill along the path to the north. Along the way there is an old ruined cabin. I buried him behind it. And don't think I don't know why you ask. Robbing graves is shameful.
That's not it at all.
If you say so.
Very well. I'll go and see Master Fafar.
Godspeed. I will wait in Sasau at the Wagoner's Inn.
Yeah. Yeah.
God be with you, Henry.
Henry, I'm glad you came.
I'm on you takes an interest in me. Good luck then.
Let it bake a bit, and you'll be able to feed the whole family with fresh
for
bread.
what ails you. Try them.
God grant you health. How may I help you? Goodbye.
God be...
God be with you. Goodbye.
I'd like to discuss the price.
All right, so.
Satisfied?
That's not enough. See now, I knew we'd come to an agreement.
God be with you.
I'd like to discuss the price.
All right, so.
Satisfied?
You won't convince me with that. All right, so.
What am I to do with you? Here.
I knew you were a good Christian. Thank you.
God, what happened to you? You look like you've been assaulted. Goodbye.
God's blessings. What can I do for you? See you later.
I'd like to discuss the price.
Well, we can try it.
Satisfied?
Well, now, a little more and we'll shake on it. Aye, that would do it.
Let it bake a bit, and you'll be able to
Green
feed the whole
cabbage!
family with fresh
Get it
bread.
before...
God be with you.
Let's have a word about the price.
Well, we can try it. Aye, for that amount I can be persuaded. Take care.
Bread baked just this morning.
Have a look
Bread.
at these cucumbers. They'll stay firm all winter. Buy them before someone else does.
God be with you.
Get the hell out of here. There's nothing here for you.
How are you, Henry?
Jesus, look where you're going.
Greetings.
Master Fafar, I need to speak with you. I found out something about the counterfeit coin.
Did you really? Do tell.
Close to Rovna, I came across a wagon that was transporting the false coins. Unfortunately, I came too late. The carter and his men were dead.
Damn and blast. Do you know who did it?
Yes. A certain knight turned up there. It turned out he was also after the forgers.
Well, that is indeed unexpected. Tell me, what did he say?
His name is Ulrich. He looked like a knight, but he refused to show his master's colours.
Ulrich, you say? Could be anyone. Can you describe him?
An older man with a moustache. But for all his grey hairs, he seemed pretty tough to me.
Doesn't match anyone I've heard of. But then we don't even know if Ulrich is his real name.
I asked him who his liege was, but he refused to tell me.
We live in such strange times. In days past, knights would vie with each other to see who could extol their liege's name the loudest. And today, they take assumed names, hide their emblems, and sneak around the land like thieves.
I got the impression he was hiding his identity because his master's at odds with Sir Radzig.
That may well be. As a staunch supporter of the king, Sir Radzig has many enemies.
He told me that the fake money was being taken to Passau in exchange for gold coins, then that real money was being brought back to the Bohemian lands.
That would explain why those fakes bear the Passau counter mark.
His master is allied with the Passau alderman, and they told him to sort it all out.
I wonder who could be behind it all.
He gave me these documents to show you. He seemed to think they prove he was telling the truth. They're the records of the interrogations in Passau, and some other things he said you'd understand better than him.
Let me see. We, the aldermen of the city of Passau, interrogation held this day, put to pen by the quaestor. The place of origin is a monastery in the land of Bohemia. Which certainly confirms my suspicion that something underhand is going on in Sasso. Coin assay report. Copper core coated with amalgam. Ah, but this is interesting. Here's an outlying description of how the forgeries are made. I'll have to study it more closely. We command Herr Ulrich to investigate and let no man stand in his way. This looks like the original safe conduct. It has the seal of the Passau alderman, but they certainly didn't pen this.
How do you know?
I recognize the hand. It's a Clement of Kaplitz, the high scribe of the Rosenbergs.
The Rosenbergs? Who's that?
A rich and powerful family in South Bohemia. Burgrave Henry III is a great rival of our King Wenceslas.
So what does all this mean?
Well, it certainly explains why your knight is so mysterious. Anyway, we should be careful. And we shall begin our investigation. The documents show they use silver amalgam for coating copper fakes. That's a lead we can follow.
What?
Silver amalgam. It's produced from quicksilver and silver.
Well, that doesn't sound like something just anyone can get hold of.
You're quite right. You will go to Sasso at once. Look around the forges in the city. Someone must be working copper for them. I, meanwhile, will take counsel with Sir Radzik and then follow after you.
Where shall we meet?
At the inn on Sasso Market Square. Take care.
Is someone there? What are you doing here? Are you after something? Are you serious? What's the matter with you?
Anything else?
Henry, I'm glad you stopped by.
God save you, Henry.
Jesus, look where you're going.
Look where you're going.
God be with you.
Let's have a word about the price.
Well, we can try it.
Since it's you.
That's not enough.
All right, so.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
God be with you. Let's talk about the price. Alright, so... What do you say to this?
I'd almost shake on that. Almost. Alright, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did Master Pfeiffer have to say?
I consulted him, and we definitely have a starting point.
Tell me more.
Master Pfeiffer found out they need copper sheets for the core of the coins, and quicksilver for the the other part?
I see. They have such materials at the monastery.
Exactly. That's why I'm interested in the local forges.
Yes, that is good. Yesterday, I heard people from the craftsman's yard by the monastery complaining. They said they could not sleep at night because the blacksmith works all the time till dawn.
I see. That's certainly worth asking about. Have you heard anything else?
You said they use quicksilver. There is a painter lodging here who is painting the church in Ujits. I heard him complain also. He said that he went to the monastery for quicksilver and it was all gone.
Well, that's something to follow up as well. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Hey,
Please
Henry's
bring me
come
something
to see
to
us.
Here we are.
I'm honored that you should come to me.
I hear you've had some problems with the supply of quicksilver.
Problems? I should say so. For the third time this month they've told me there's none. There's no quicksilver to be had, they said.
And who exactly are you talking about? Who's holding back the goods on you?
The monastery overseer, or his assistant, more like.
So what did the overseer have to say to you?
Nothing. Apparently he doesn't deal in such trifles. Leaves it all to his assistant, the pompous git.
Surely such valuable material can't just vanish. Where can it be?
I wish I knew. Every time I ask for the red paint, there's a different reason why they haven't got the quicksilver to mix it. Once they said the goods never arrived, and another time that the wagon carrying it was ambushed. Then it went astray somewhere.
And you think they're lying?
Jesus, what do I know? But it seems pretty strange to me. 3 times in a row the same thing goes missing. There's bad luck and then there's something else.
For me.
What do you need quicksilver for?
I don't. They do.
One beer.
It makes up the red pigment for me. I'm painting the church in Ujits. Can you imagine how stupid those biblical scenes look without red?
Not really.
Then be glad you can. My eyes hurt just to imagine it.
That's all I need to know for now.
Ah. But wouldn't you care to buy something before you go? Or play a game? I really need some money. I've been waiting here a while and my stay's getting expensive.
Why not? Show me what you have to offer.
See you later.
Let's talk about the price.
Well, we can try it.
Is this enough?
That's not enough. Aye, for that amount I can be persuaded.
What do you need? Take care.
Yeah!
So, from the beginning.
God be with you, Henry.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
What can you tell me about the Sasau blacksmiths?
There's too many of us, I'll tell you that for free. This is only a small town. There's Zach, who has the forge in the craftsman's yard and mostly works on the construction of the church. And then, apart from me, there's Master Armourer Otter of Ramstein.
Tell me more about Zach.
Don't have much time for him myself. He knows his craft, no question. But he seems to think his son, Vitus, will be a master armourer in Prague one day.
My father was a blacksmith, and I expect he thought much the same about me. That's how fathers are, isn't it?
Of course, any man should be proud of his boy. But Zach makes pride a sin. That's why he's at loggerheads with Master Otter.
What are Zach and Master Otter arguing about?
Zach had his boy Vitus trained as an armourer in Kuttenberg, and he wanted to buy out Otter's place for him. Except that Otter's a proud man. How would it have looked? A master armourer giving way to a young whippersnapper who's barely let go of his mother's skirts? And they've been arguing ever since. Well, Zach mostly. He badmouths Otter every chance he gets. He claims that he's only fit for mending pots, and that his son will see him off.
Can you tell me something about Master Otter?
Well now, there's a master to look up to. He's worked for the lords of Kunstadt and for the richest townsfolk of Prague.
If you don't mind my asking, what brings him here?
The same as draws all reasonable people. He's enjoying the peace and quiet. Or rather, he used to enjoy some peace. That dispute with Zach must have put a few more wrinkles on his brow.
That will be all. Thank you. Do you ever work with copper here?
No, and even if I wanted to, I
God save
couldn't.
you, Henry.
Zach from the monastery craftsman's yard has bought out all the copper. Take care.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
God be with you.
Take care.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Good health to you.
What can you tell me about the blacksmiths here in Sasau?
Depends which ones you mean. In the town there's Mikesh. He's a decent man and an honest craftsman. And in the yard by the monastery there's Zach. But there's not many good words I can say about him.
What about the monastery blacksmith, Zach?
Well, him and me don't exactly see eye to eye. He wanted to buy my business, but I turned him down. Ever since then, he hasn't had a good word to say about me.
Tell me something about Mikesh.
Like I said, he's an honest craftsman, which isn't something you can say about every blacksmith in town.
That will be all. Thank you. Do you make anything out of copper, Master?
I do a bit of Damascene decor sometimes. Why do you ask?
I'm looking for someone who could do me some copper sheets.
Well, that's pretty rough and ready work. I wouldn't waste my time with it. But go and ask Zach from the craftsman's yard by the monastery. He's bought up all the copper to be had around here anyway.
Can you show me how to repair armour and weapons better?
Certainly.
I want to achieve mastery.
All right, but it'll cost you.
Isn't that quite a lot? Is this enough?
How are you, Henry?
I'd almost shake on that. Almost. Agreed. Now listen up. See you later.
God be with you, Henry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Greetings, good knight. How may I serve you?
Do you work any copper here, Master Blacksmith?
Why'd you ask?
I'd want to commission you to make something.
Then you'd best go elsewhere. I never use copper.
Aha. What can you tell me about the Sasau blacksmiths?
Well, there's Mikesh. He's honest enough, and a fair hand at everyday things. And then there's Master Otter. He used to have talent, but now he's too old, and too proud to admit it.
So back to that copper, Master Blacksmith.
What? I thought I told you I don't work with copper.
That's not what I heard.
What?
I was told in town that you bought all the other blacksmiths' copper.
I'm being made a fool of yet again, it seems. Anything else? I still have work to do. Take care.
God's blessings. What can I do for you?
Your father says you don't work any copper.
We don't.
I've heard differently around town. They say your father's bought up all the copper to be had.
Are you calling me a liar? Or my father? You're asking for it, boy.
You're right. It's nothing to me either way.
Right. So clear off.
I mean, beside the fact I'm here on behalf of the Royal Burgrave Sir Radzig Kobyla, investigating a grievous crime against the Crown.
What? What are you talking about?
I'd let you read my Bill of Authority, but I doubt you're educated enough to understand it.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realise. If I'd known, of course I wouldn't. I mean, you understand, don't you?
Stop prattling, for God's sake, and start telling me the truth. What's the story with the copper at your forge?
You're right. We do make copper sheets here at night.
Who buys those sheets from you?
I don't know. I've never set eyes on him. Father doesn't like to talk about it.
So why all the secrecy about it?
Father forbade me to talk about it. I don't know why. I didn't ask.
Your father has some serious explaining to do.
I'm so sorry. If I'd known who you were, I'd never have taken such liberties.
Never mind. You weren't to know who I am. You were just protecting your father's business interests like any good son.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So back to that copper, Master Blacksmith.
What? I thought I told you I don't work with copper.
Your son put it quite differently.
What's that? What are you blabbering on about?
Don't be angry with him. I didn't give him any choice.
All right. I suppose there's no point lying. We do make copy sheets here, and I wanted to keep it quiet.
Why?
Pays me good money, and the people I do it for. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of them.
Did they threaten you?
They didn't have to. Just by the look of them, I could say I needed to shut my mouth and do what they wanted.
And did they ever tell you who they were? Do you know where to find them?
I know a little. I'd show some understanding. There's nothing but trouble in it for me. I'll lose the work and be left looking over my shoulder for some thugs to come and burn down my house. Or worse.
If you lie down with dogs, you shouldn't complain about the fleas.
There's no need for threats. We can both benefit here. If I tell you everything I know, you can help me with a certain small matter. One that'll cover up for my loss of earnings.
You've got a cheek. Not only are you in with the counterfeiter gang, but you lied to me on top of it. You should be on your knees begging for mercy right now, not trying to make a profit.
I didn't know what they were doing.
But now you do know, and you've still got the cheek to try to strike a deal with me. So Radzig's definitely going to be hearing about this.
You're right. I'm sorry, I overstepped the mark. I certainly didn't mean to offend one of Lord Radzig's men. One evening I got a visit from this scruffy beggar calling himself Rapota. He had a yellow cape on and kept whistling to himself. There was a knight with him too, but he didn't give his name. They told me what I had to do, how much I'd get for it, and I had to keep my mouth shut.
And where can I find this Rapota? Or the knight?
I don't know exactly. But I've always left the wagon with the goods behind the monastery, on the hill there, next to a small chapel under a big tree.
Anything else?
No. I swear that's all I know.
Well, that'll do me for now.
Young man, about that matter I need help with. I'll gladly pay you.
First, tell me what's going on.
I recently tried to buy Master Armourer Otto Rabstein's business for my son Vitus, but that old fool wouldn't listen to reason. He said he couldn't understand his legacy being taken over by a clod like my Vitus. Despite the insult, I doubled my offer, but Master Otto still wouldn't budge.
And what is it you need from me?
I thought I'd show Otto that Vitus isn't such a dolt as he thinks, but for that I need someone experienced in combat.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad. What's your plan?
Otto's busy making a very pretty suit of armour for the bailiff. So I was thinking, if we could show that pretty armour of his is absolutely useless, he'd be disgraced.
And how am I supposed to see to that?
Well, I'd reckon we'd arrange a duel of champions with bludgeons. You'll put on Vitus's armour, and Otto will send his champion in that tin shit of his. You invite the bailiff to watch, and Otto will be made a laughingstock in front of everyone.
And what do I get out of it?
Vitus will let you have the cuirass from his suit of armour, and I'll throw in a few groschen on top.
Sounds good.
And I'm sure a fella like you would be glad to be on good terms with the best armourer for miles around, eh?
That remains to be seen. Do you really think that will work?
Otto's always mouthing off in the alehouse that my young lad isn't worth a damn. Once I show he's just a bitter old bastard spouting hot air, his business will be ruined, and Vitus will reap the reward. What with all the strife in the country these days, there'll be no end of work for a good armourer.
How about if the armour for the bailiff mysteriously went missing?
Jesus Christ! Don't even talk about it. Although, if Otto doesn't agree to the duel, it might be the only option.
Exactly. And if you want to wreck Otto's reputation, not keeping his promise to the bailiff could be even worse for him than your idea.
You're right. Do whatever you think fit then. But if the armour gets lost, don't come to me afterwards. I know nothing about it, right?
Of course.
Take care.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Do you have any quicksilver in stock?
Who's asking?
Nobody. I'm just asking.
Then I don't have any.
That sounds almost as if you don't want to sell it to me.
It's not that I don't want to. It's that I can't.
Can't you? In the Sasau Monastery? That seems unlikely. It looks more like you're lining your own pockets to me. I wonder what people would have to say about that.
It's not. I'm not. Oh, shit.
Get to the point.
They came for me at noon. Directly to the office. The overseer was somewhere on his rounds. Some knight, it was. Without a crest. Armed. He called himself Sir Jezek, and he had a lackey with him called Rapota, a scruffy fellow with a yellow cape. Always whistling he was. They told me they wanted all the quicksilver we order for the monastery. Of course, I told him that wouldn't be possible.
And then what? Did they threaten you?
Not at first. They tried to bribe me, and when I refused, they started threatening.
How did you hand it over to them?
I take it up the hill behind the monastery here. There's a big tree there with a small chapel underneath. Sometimes Rapota is there waiting for me. If not, I leave it there.
What did they threaten you with?
They said they know people in the monastery. That they'd have me thrown out and beaten for stealing.
And you had been stealing? I mean, before then?
You know how it is. I work my fingers to the bone and they pay me a pittance.
So they knew about you?
Yes, they knew my name, everything.
Very well. Thank you.
Farewell. What is it?
Be a bit more careful.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
God save you.
I'll see you later.
The Lord be praised. What brings you to me?
You look different, Master.
So as to fit in. I don't want it known that I'm in town.
Right.
So what have you found out so far?
I found out where they get their quicksilver from. You were right, it was the monastery.
It was the only logical explanation.
It changed hands on the hill behind the monastery.
Have you been there to have a look around?
Not yet.
Maybe it would be worth the time.
I'll go and see.
And have you found out who's behind it?
Someone called Rapata.
Not much, but it's a start. At least it's not a common name. Listen, Henry. I had another thought on the way here. Those counterfeiters have to have a punch dive to make the fake coins.
Yes, of course.
That's sophisticated work. There's a man I know who works at the monastery yard. Master engraver Jerome of Silesia.
You don't suppose that he's...
No, not that, God forbid. I know him well. He'd never do anything like that. But he runs an engraving workshop, so he might have heard something.
Very well, I'll ask him.
But ask with tact. I don't want him getting offended. And I prefer you not to mention me at all.
I'll try to think of something. I found out where they get the copper sheets from.
Really? So tell me.
It's the smith on the monastery craftsman's yard. He supplies the counterfeiters.
Do you know how he gets the goods to them?
It's the same as with the overseer. The goods were picked up by some servant called Rapata. That's all.
God be with you.
God be with you, Henry.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My humble greetings. How may I serve you?
How goes the work, Master?
Getting there, getting there. You need something, my boy?
What are you doing here, anyway?
You're in an engraver's shop, my boy. We're engraving, of course.
Yeah, but engraving what? And what's it used for?
Oh, we engrave wood and stone as well as metal. Here in the monastery, it's mostly about decoration.
You've got quite a large workshop, Master. You don't do all the work alone, surely?
I'm usually here with my apprentice, Florian. Of course, by simple observation, you'll note that this is not currently the case, and I'm here alone. Which means that either I'm a liar or something out of the ordinary has occurred.
I see. I think. So what's happened to Florian?
He shares the fate of the pharaohs for today. The fifth scourge of Egypt did smite him, the plague. Or so his message advised me.
Jesus Christ, the plague?
Do remain calm. I'm quite certain the plague from which Florian is suffering wasn't a judgment from on high. Or if it was a judgment on excessive drinking. I'm told such an ailment can be of truly biblical proportions.
What's he like, your apprentice, Florian?
I'm afraid that his exuberant youth has taken its toll. He's been acting strangely of late. I fear he has delusions of persecution.
I don't really know what you mean, at all.
Recently, for example, he told me that someone was following him. And the very next day he bought a padlock from the blacksmith and locked up his chest. As though I would ever sneak into it. In any case, why the interest? Are you looking for him?
Something like that.
May I ask why?
We've been friends since childhood. I wanted to see him.
Making friends has been a skill of his from his earliest days. Unlike making anything related to his trade. About your question, you'll find him at home. No doubt feverishly dying. He sleeps in the baker's cellar.
Ah, thank you. Does Florian have any enemies?
A man such as he certainly owes money at every turn, and the parents of local girls are undoubtedly displeased with his attempts to propagate. However, most recently it was that fury from the baths who accosted him in quite a spectacular rage.
A woman from the baths? What did she do?
The harpy nearly tore all Florian's hair out. I don't frequently feel sorry for my ne'er-do-well apprentice, but on that occasion I made an exception.
Do you have any idea why she did it?
She was screaming about some girl, some flighty bath-maid, Esther. I would say that Florian had felt the joys of spring and acted accordingly, although one would have thought they'd be used to that sort of thing at the bathhouse.
Thank you. I'll leave you to your work.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Good health to you, Henry.
I hear you're at odds with apprentice Florian.
At odds? I'll give you at odds. It's that sod's fault they took my Esther. Poor girl. I shudder to think what's become of her.
What exactly happened?
This man came in wanting a bath, and Esther with it. She doesn't normally offer that kind of service, but I didn't see the harm, so I sent her in to him. And suddenly I hear screams. So I run out, and I see the bastard pulling her out of the tent and shoving her into a boat.
What did the bailiff make of it?
Don't even get me started on that. He's another fine... I won't say what. I told him everything, but he says he won't do nothing about it.
How's that then?
He wouldn't tell me to my face, of course. But people here don't think much of us. There's some as reckon my Esther deserves what she got. Poor girl.
I assume that Florian knows this, Esther.
You know village girls. They don't get much of a choice. Every other knave has a turnip for a brain, and if they don't, they're relatives. And then some young dandy turns up who writes her little poems. What's the poor girl to do? And this is how it ends. She should have stuck with the turnip heads.
I'm sorry they took her, but what exactly has it got to do with Florian?
They shouted at me to tell Florian that when he wises up, he'll get the girl back.
Where can I find this Florian? I'd like to ask him a few questions.
He works in the engraver's workshop at the monastery craftsman's yard. And if he's not there, he'll be holed up like the rat he is in the cellar he rents from the baker. He's afraid of me, for sure.
Greetings, Henry.
It sounds like you were close to Esther.
I loved her like my very own. She came to me as an orphan, like a wolf child she was. I raised her and taught her and gave her a job, and now she's gone. Who knows if she's even alive? Goodbye.
Yeah.
God be with you. God be with you, Henry.
Henry, I'm glad you came.
God almighty, has something happened to you? Did someone steal your fancy clothes?
You look quite sprightly for an invalid.
What? Who the hell are you?
My name's Henry, and I'm making inquiries for Sir Radzig Kobyla.
And what do you want from me?
Straight to the point then, alright. I've been investigating counterfeit money and the trail led me straight to you. Does the name Rapiter mean anything to you?
I don't know. Maybe?
Don't bother. I know you know him. You make the punch dies for the counterfeiters. How do you hand them over? Do you know where their workshop is?
I can't say anything. I'll deny everything and you've got nothing on me. No evidence, just accusations.
It's got something to do with that girl, hasn't it?
How do you know?
That doesn't matter.
No, I suppose not. I didn't want to get involved, I swear. Those bastards kidnapped Esther. If I don't cooperate, they'll kill her.
That doesn't begin to justify what you did.
I don't care. This isn't about me. Listen, I'll tell you everything, I promise. But only if I know that Esther's safe.
What, so I'm to go searching for her in the woods?
I know where they're keeping her, but nobody will help me. And what can puny little me do faced with those strapping great villains?
Look, Florian, I'm sorry for what you're going through, honestly. But I'm not the only one who's after these people. As soon as they get wind of something, they'll be out of here and Esther will be gone with them.
If Rapita finds I've told you anything, they'll kill her.
Not if I catch Rapita first. He's here in town, isn't he?
Yes, he is. They found me in the tavern one evening, caught me when I went to the ship pile. They started to badger me about working for them.
They?
Yes, Rapita. And a knight they called Sir Jezek.
And then what?
They explained what they wanted from me, and I told them to sod off.
I'm guessing that didn't go down too well.
It wasn't all that bad. They just threw me on the dung heap and left. I thought it was just a drunkard's joke. But then they took Esther.
Why didn't you tell anyone?
At first, I took it for a bad joke. And then, when they snatched Esther, there was nothing to be done.
Where will I find Rapita?
He's usually wherever I am.
What does that mean?
He watches me, everywhere I go. And when I'm at home, he sits on the bench in the square, watching my house.
So he's there now?
Hard to say. Sometimes I see him in the tavern on the green, buying supplies.
All right. At least I know where to start. And you go to work tomorrow, you hear?
Why?
Because we have to lure him out. And besides, your master will surely be glad to see you.
I have my doubts.
How did you hand over the punch die to them?
Rapita waited for me behind the church. I didn't want to give it to them without seeing Esther first.
And did they let you?
Yes, although I don't really know why. They took me to a derelict farm in the Skalitz Hills. My poor Esther, they'd scared her half to death.
So at least you know she's alive.
Who knows? It was a while ago. And they never let her go, even after I did what they wanted. They said they'd be needing more.
More punch dice?
They wear out over time. And they have to be replaced regularly.
I suppose I'd better go. I'd hate the bastard to get away.
Go. I hope you get revenge. Goodbye.
I'm honoured that a knight such as you takes an interest in me.
Are there any problems around here I might be up?
Nothing I've heard about. Take care.
Are you Rapiter by any chance?
Pardon me? Do we know each other?
No, but I'm hoping to change that.
Well, I don't have much time right now. I'd best be off.
It'll only take a moment.
All right then. What do you want?
I know that you spy on Florian. I know you were involved in the kidnapping of the bathmaid, and I know why you're doing it all.
It seems there's no point making excuses.
None. Now tell me where their workshop is.
Of course. That will be the best solution.
So?
Let's leave it for another time.
No, I give up.
So, are you ready to talk?
I will. Just don't hurt me, please. What do you want from me?
Tell me where the workshop is. Don't worry. Your master won't be punishing you for betraying him. You're both going to have too many other problems.
It's in the Skullet's mines.
That doesn't narrow it down very much.
On the eastern side of Skullet's Hill, there's an abandoned mine gallery. Well, it used to be abandoned. Now there's a small camp in front of it, and the workshop is inside.
Who is your lord?
Sir Jezek of Ronov. That's what he calls himself, although Ronov Castle's long gone.
What happened to it?
Ronov used to belong to Vincent, Count Lichtenberg. After his death, it fell to Margrave Jobst, and he had it pulled down. He knew full well that Vincent's vassals would resist him.
Why? Everyone knows that when a lord dies without issue, the king can confer his estate on whoever he pleases.
But Vincent had descendants. Ronov only fell to the Margrave because he declared them all illegitimate. All because Vincent had refused to fight for him against Sir Prokop. Sir Jezek led a revolt of the vassals, but Jobst rounded them all up. Only Sir Jezek got away. Since then, he's become the scourge of the domain.
Who are you, anyway?
They call me Rapota. I used to be the executioner's henchman in Brno.
And how did you come to be serving Sir Jezek?
I helped him escape from prison. If I was going to serve anyone, better Sir Jezek than the executioner.
So you saw being a brigand's henchman as a step up in the world?
I thought if things changed and he stopped marauding, he might get Ronov back and take me into his service.
Well, after this little escapade, you can forget about that. You'll be lucky if you don't end up swinging on the gallows.
It's all the same anyway now. I've betrayed him.
God save Henry.
So who's Sir Jezek working for? Don't tell me he just took it into his head one day to start forging coins.
That's not for me to know. Sir Jezek was on speaking terms with various lordships.
Such as?
We were often guests at the monastery, but I slept in the hayloft, so I heard nothing.
And apart from that?
In the camp, you'd occasionally see a Hungarian nobleman, but I don't know what he was doing there, or who he is.
I think I've heard enough.
Can I ask you something?
Yes?
I don't want to hang. It's a horrible death. I prefer you just kill me here and now.
An honourable death? No chance. It's the dungeons for you, and the sort of punishment a counterfeiter deserves. Don't worry. In time, you'll be glad of the gallows.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you. God be with
you. Yeah! Yeah.